Com o tema Fish Diversity em Inhaca Mangrove. O grupo é constituído por mim, pelo Abdul e pela Martina. Como introdução, os mangás são um tipo de vegetação que é encontrado em zonas entre marés e também é constituído por ecossistemas que são tolerantes tanto à salinidade, ao oxigênio, são tolerantes à salinidade, oxigênio e a flutuações de água. Os mangás são tidos como importantes para a proteção das zonas costeiras, assim como para providenciar recursos às comunidades costeiras. Outro aspecto importante que dá uma maior visibilidade aos ecossistemas de mangás é pelo fato deles constituírem como um berçário, um nascer para diversas espécies, tanto de peixes como de crustáceos. No entanto, apesar dessa grande e notável importância dos ecossistemas do mangal, em Moçambique, nos anos de 1971 a 1990, assistiu-se um declínio dos ecossistemas do mangás, tendo perdido cerca de 809 hectares de mangás por ano. E isso ainda tem se verificado. Daí a importância e a relevância do estudo da diversidade de espécies de peixes encontrados neste lugar, para trazer maior consciência à comunidade. Outro sim importante nos ecossistemas de mangás é que, apesar dessa importância que ele tem, poucos estudos estão focados às espécies de peixes. Poucos estudos têm olhado para o mangal como um habitat para os peixes. Com isso, a maior parte dos trabalhos que têm estudado o mangal e a sua relação com os peixes somente estão baseados na relação que existe entre as capturas observadas dos peixes e crustáceos ao longo ou perto dos mangás. Também há que destacar que o estudo dos peixes nos ecossistemas de mangás tem sido limitado devido aos desafios que neles se encontram, que é a amostragem quantitativa. No entanto, temos aqui destacados algumas das metodologias que são usadas para o estudo dos peixes nos ecossistemas de mangás. Temos aqui entanglement methods, temos underwater vision census, temos passive gear deployment, twig gear techniques, fish under service and local ecological knowledge. Os objetivos desse trabalho foram address some research gap by assessing the role of mangrove or fish species and fish in Inhaca and Mozambique. Como destaquei no início, o ecossistema do mangal, a maior parte das vezes tem se estudado aspectos ligados às árvores do mangal e tem se excluído e tem-se poucas informações sobre o estudo do ecossistema do mangal como um habitat para os peixes. Daí a importância de trazermos esse objetivo para podermos saber quais são os peixes que são encontrados nos ecossistemas do mangal e qual é a sua relação com esse ecossistema. Também temos outro objetivo, employ how local fisher interact with the mangroves while understanding their perception regarding mangrove dynamics. É importante também trazer qual é a percepção das comunidades que interagem com o mangal sobre a importância desse mangal, assim como a saber quais são os usos que têm se feito nos mangás por essas comunidades. Outro objetivo é identify which fish species use the mangrove, elucidate the significance of mangrove areas for species. Nesse trabalho também vamos trazer os serviços pelos quais os peixes procuram os mangás, assim como quais são as áreas que os peixes têm preferido e para que fim eles têm procurado. Study area. The present study was conducted on Inhaca Island of the east coast of Africa at about 32 kilometers from Maputo city. Investigation were carried out in the mangrove areas surround the island. Pilot tests of underwater visual sensors were conducted of Sac mangrove forests. Interviews with local fish were conducted in 3 locales commonly used by this community: at the fishing center in Saco, at a typical aggregation point in the villa, and the community at the farol. Materials and methods. We performed a literature review of the information published about the mangrove fish of Inhaca Island. We integrate the information by conducting a pilot test employing the 2 methodologies: underwater visual sensors and local ecological knowledge. Como podemos ver, esse trabalho baseou-se principalmente nessas 2 metodologias, que é a revisão de literatura sobre as espécies que são encontradas e que já foram encontradas segundo outras literaturas na ilha de Inhaca. Também tem o senso visual no fundo da água e também priorizamos mais nesse estudo o conhecimento local sobre as espécies existentes. In this regard, we conduct semi-structural survey involving local fishers. This survey incorporates an assessment of various aspects, including fish activity, perceived species abundance, mangrove utilization, the linkage between mangrove and fishes, fishing gear, and the spatial distribution of fish effort. The interview was structured in 3 sections. The first section, fish and demographic information, questions related to the fish species using mangrove, inquiry about mangrove fish linkage. Initially, fish provide insight into the fishing activity, specify the type of fishing gear employed, and identify the 5 most significant species they catch, the precipitation of both catch and the size of species present in couch in the mangrove.
Okay, so as Nadia said, we tried to do a pilot test of different methodologies, including visual census. As all of you know, that didn't work out very well. So we established for that point that we need further information about fish movements with tides and visibility in the mangroves. So that pilot testing was a fail, but still gave us some information what we need to explore better. Regarding the LEC, so the Local Ecological Knowledge Assessment, we found out that the majority of the fishers, did you use this? Okay. The majority of the fishers use Farol and Sangala as fishing areas, but there is a usage of many areas from the south to the north of the island related to mangrove about fishing grounds. Mainly fishers used a combination of different gears in order to fish. We asked them firstly what gear they normally used for fishing, and then what gear they used inside the mangroves. Of the 26 fishers that we interviewed, only 2 did not fish in the mangroves, while the other 24 to some extent did. Mainly outside of the mangrove, or in general, they fish with gillnet line together as a combined gear, so they use both, while only a minority use only line or only gillnet, and even less use harpoon, trap, or trolling, always in combination with other gears, which are gillnet and line. In mangroves instead, we find mostly gillnet and line and less use of other techniques, such as trolling. This trolling is probably done, as the fisher said, outside of the mangrove area, just in the proximity of it. For what concerns the literary review, only 3 records were found. Of these, the oldest one is a paper from McNay and Kalk, which was a paper describing the ecological features of the mangroves. So the fish diversity was partially described and only 7 species located in the channels were reported. And most of the information about fish assemblages in these ecosystems were reported by two master theses. Both of these are also kind of outdated. The last one was in 2002. So there is a strong need of reassessing the fish assemblages in this new context. Of the 37 main species, so these 2 master theses indicated that around 70 species, different species, are present in the mangroves. Of these, 37 that were the most abundant were considered also in the LEC. So we asked the fishermen if they knew the existence of these species inside the mangrove or not, and they confirmed the presence of 19 of these species. Then we asked the fisher to name themselves, which were the species that they thought they were the most abundant. So we gave them a scale of abundance from 1 to 5, 5 being the most abundant species that they encounter, and then that they catch in the mangrove. You can see in green the species, sorry, spoiler. How was it? So in green is the abundance in the mangroves, while in blue is the abundance in their catches in the mangroves. We can see how the most abundant species in the mangroves seems to be Silagosihama, while many others are abundant in the catches, such as Teraponjagua. We just found a tiny one from a kid that was fishing right outside, and Mugilides and Geresongiostis. This, for example, is a picture that one of the fishers we interviewed shared with me, and it was the picture of his catch of the day before. We then examined which life stages are most common inside of the mangrove area. Again, for the species that they found, that they know they are in the mangrove, and the species that they catch. We can see how for many species there is a big majority of fishers that said that they were present in their juvenile stages, such as Teraponjagua, but most of them also were present both in adult and juvenile stages. So we need to explore a little bit better this pattern of juvenile use of mangroves. For what concerns the catches, we can see how they're mainly adult catches. Not many species are caught as small individual, only for Mugilidae, for example. And this is due probably also to the mesh size that they use for gill nets. we asked them, and the most commonly used mesh size is from 12 to 13 centimeters. Yeah, you go for it.
So we also try to identify what they think the species use the mangrove area. So as we found out, they know better why they use it. So most of them agree that the fish use this area for feeding grounds, and we can see here is the most common answer they gave. And also as a growing area. So we see that the most answer that the fishermen gave us is the one with that one, and they agree that the Mugildea family use the most it for feeding, and the Crinidaens use the most it for growing. Okay, as the discussions, we confirmed that the ecology significance of mangrove in Iñaka for fishery communities. Notable abundance of Silagus sehama, Crinides, and Chairs, and the Mugildea family. We highlighted the limitation of documentation of Crinides in previous sampling. And Silagus sehama is being reported of being abundant here in the Maputo Bay. So this one is agreed with the results found when they were studying the area of Maputo Bay. So we highlighted that the fishermen reported 12 species that we couldn't find in the previous work that was done here. But as most of those 12 species, the 9 that were mentioned by fishermen, was only one fisherman mentioning them. So that makes us believe that information is not so reliable. So yeah, so this information was only said by one fisherman, and so we don't think that is so trustworthy. We underline the critical value of mangrove among communities members in their daily lives and the importance of conservation effort in this fragile ecosystem. When we were doing this, we could understood that the fishermen know best what to do, that the mangrove is doing good for their fisheries, and so they know better how to preserve it, and the importance it has for the conservation of the island and for the security of their household. Because when we interview them, they most of the time say that if we cut all the mangrove, the winds could hit their houses and the water could invade their village. In conclusion, we concluded that the local ecology knowledge it's a good to have access to information about the local fisheries if there is no information present. Also, we noticed that in the present overview we noticed a limited scientific literature in Iñaka on mangrove fish assemblage and identified significant knowledge gaps. So we can conclude that the local knowledge can be used sometimes to fill the limitation of the scientific knowledge. This analysis underlines the need to better understand this ecology aspect and the role that mangrove play in supporting fish assemblage and fisheries. And as a recommendation for the next study, we will suggest that the one trying to use an underwater visual census could find out the better time to do the research when the water is clear to make the analysis and the samples in the area. And here is our bibliography, and thank you. Non corte un mandato.